Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the new channel. Yes, we started out Oasis Wellness of Life, and yeah, we're still at the same place, but I think, what do we say? Repackaging, right? So we are rebooting the Oasis Wellness of Life channel. And why? Well, initially in 2019, we started out wanting to help everybody with all types of situations, right? Everything wellness, all things wellness. But as we started moving along, and as I started going along my journey in trauma recovery, I realized, wow, if you take the shotgun approach, you don't really focus in and narrow down and get a real resolution or real solution for one challenge. And what is the challenge? Well, according to the CDC, 70 to 80% of the population suffer from trauma. You might say, wow, that's huge. That's over half of the population that have suffered from some form of trauma, whether it's acute trauma or whether it is complex PTSD, like trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma. So in my case, I was diagnosed with CPTSD, complex PTSD, right? Anxiety and depression, which are all symptoms and side effects of PTSD, right? That's when you suffer one trauma after the next, after the next, after the next, and none of the traumas have ever been resolved. And we have a tendency, and I did the same thing, was to suppress it, swallow it, keep going. We're taught to put the blinders on and keep moving forward, right? But if we do not address the traumas, and because trauma is progressive, it will get worse, right? It'll sit there dormant, just circling around, and then something will happen, and we're like, wow, and we overreact to a situation out of character, even because that trauma has sat there, and you said, enough is enough, too much is nasty, and boom, now you're way over here. You have, or you've lived through life, and I show you this red button here, right? My red button, can you see it here? My red button here. That's what the trauma response look like. You're always on that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. And so I said, you know what? As I was going through finding answers, like, what is this? Life was just not working out for me. I was making decisions and I didn't understand that I was doing it off of part of me, right? Because when we suffer trauma, we fragment. So part of us is still stuck in where that trauma happened. And so as we're going through the channel, we rebooted. We're on the pathway to trauma recovery in the Get Trauma Informed podcast, right? So as I started walking through my journey, and if you go back to some of the old videos, you'll see I walked through my journey of the accident. Boom. Sometimes something will happen and you think that it's the worst thing, but it is actually there to help you. Or I should say, however, it's there to help you to go into the right direction. You might be traveling down one path, and that's not the path intended for you. And boom, crash, hit the wall. And now I go into another direction. And now I can see it more clearly. I talk about life, looking through the life in a kaleidoscope, where all those fragmented pieces and making decisions off of that kaleidoscope version. Well, that's why we have created the playlist Pathway to Trauma Recovery, right? And the Get Trauma Informed podcast, because it's to give us that polarizing message that, look, we need to become aware of our trauma first and then walk through the path of recovery. So, first book, it's smoothie time, right? And yes, you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to with intent and purpose. So it's smoothie time. It talks about the accident, and it talks about all of the amazing, incredible recipes that I use to help me to recover, along with the herb regimen. Because for me, the traditional route just was not working. And I say chocolate or vanilla, traditional or naturopathic. It's just up to you which one works best or resonates for you. But it is do something, execute on it, a self-care plan. So I went along my life, started writing books, man. And 3 books later, I finally come into the understanding that we can do whatever it is that we want. Second book, daddy daughter dynamic, because if you followed anything or any parts of my story, you'll understand that daddy daughter dynamic played a huge role in part of my trauma, right? And then boom, third book, Pathway to Trauma Recovery, right? I am the lead author on this project. And I tell you, this was such an amazing work because each one of these fantastic, phenomenal authors share their trauma experience, but not just the trauma. They also show you what path they used in order to recover. And I say you also need relapse prevention plan, because even after you recover from your trauma, you want to make sure that you know what your triggers are so that you can stay in recovery, right? And then forward written by Marcus Ogden, right? Phenomenal coach and mentor, right? And then we can't leave Coach Michael Bart Matthews without talking about him, right? He actually put this whole project together. Phenomenal manuscript developer and publishing company. So I tell you what, this is a phenomenal work. And we're going to walk through this book, and we're going to walk through other traumas and resolutions to help us to recover, right? And I am so looking forward to that. We also have a support group, Pathway to Trauma book study and support group, where we take an in-depth deep dive into the pathway to trauma recovery, helping you to come up with a solution that is going to fit you. The support group, if you want to be a part of that, make sure that you go on over to Oasis Wellness, CTRS.com, sign up, register, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the inside of the program. Support, y'all, is so important. All righty. I look forward to seeing you there. Bye for now.